So this is a long video today. It's around 25 minutes. But bear with me because there's some really good information in it. If you want to make videos like the ones that I make, but you want to make them easy and cheap and quick, this is going to be the video for you. iMovie is designed for beginners, so it's super easy to pick up, it's cheap, and it's really fun to use. Bear with me on this one. So why do we do stuff like that? Why do we shoot ourselves going through the process of making a cup of coffee and putting it together and sharing it? I think it's because we like process. We like to know how things are done. We like to show off our knowledge. We like to show that we can create something. And it got me thinking, there must be a lot of people out there who want to do that but can't. Maybe think they don't have the right tools. Maybe they just don't have the knowledge. So what I wanted to do, and I teased this the other day in a video on Facebook that was just a little review of a coffee shop in Manchester. I shot that on my phone and I edited it on iMovie. Really simple, really quick. What I want to do today is show you guys how to put that together really quickly, really simply. You're going to learn some iMovie basics and hopefully we'll get you to the point where you're sharing some videos. So let's kick off this episode of When Will I Learn? So there's two things that you're gonna have to do before you even think about editing. You've got to shoot some footage and you got to download the program. Downloading the program's easy, it's just on the App Store. And shooting the footage, I just use my phone. I use all the features, so shoot some time-lapse stuff, shoot some slow-mo stuff. What I like to do is set the camera up to shoot 1080 at 60 frames per second. That way I don't have to go into slow-mo to get some slowed down footage, which is really handy if you can get it 60 frames per second. That means you can slow it down to half the speed. If this seems like too much information, kind of forget that. Just do the best quality video you can do with your phone and that'll work. Once you've got iMovie downloaded and installed, you want to open it up and create a new project. You're going to get the option to create a movie or a trailer. Go for movie. You've opened up a new project in iMovie. What the hell is all this? Well, iMovie is for beginners, and because of that it is really, really straightforward. There's only really three things that you need to worry about. You've got the media tab, the source monitor, and the timeline. Within these there's more options. You've also got this sidebar here where you've got libraries and stuff like that, and that can go away. Ignore that for now. What you do want to do is you want to look at this button. This is the import button, and what you want to do is you want to click this button. That's going to open up a dialog box and you are going to find your way to the footage that you've shot. In my case, all neatly organized, iMovie, and here's everything. So I know that I'm going to want all these, and one way to do that is to just import that whole folder. You can import individual files if you need to. And what I did was I shot this on my phone and then I airdropped it over to my computer. That seems to be the best way for me. Your mileage may vary. And you can now see that in this bit that I called the media browser, and really it's just called My Media in iMovie, you've got all your clips, and as you put your mouse over them, you get like a preview in the preview window. And the preview window is just that. It's going to show you whatever you're hovering over in this, or as you've dragged something to your timeline, it's going to show you that, and you're going to kind of toggle between the two. I'll delete that for now. Just hit delete. Got your clips up here, and you've got your timeline down here. You want to bring bits of this clip in. So what you're going to do is you're going to use I and the O key. So one's in, one's out. Guess which? Or you can use these handles. And what this will do is this will just cut off the start of your clip and cut off the end of your clip until it's down to the right length. And what you can do there is you can cut off like the bits where you fumbled with the camera or whatever thing happened after you recorded. Maybe you shot something and shot another thing as well. Trim this down using these, or as I said, you can use the I and the O button to mark an in and out. And then once you've done that, you can hit this little plus button, and that's just going to bring it in there. What you can also do is you can just grab it, hold the mouse down and drag it over, and that's going to bring those clips in. They're going to come in one after the other, and there you go. That's not enough. What you really want to be doing is you want to be adding some music in there. And what I like to do is I like to add the music at the start. So one great little resource that you're going to want to know about, go to YouTube, go to the Creator Studio. Once that loads up, go down to Create, hit that little arrow, Audio Library, and here you can start to sort by mood. What do we want? We want bright, maybe we want calm, we want bright. This is going to show you all the music that you can download from YouTube, which you can use in your videos. For most of these, you can actually monetize your videos with this music in. So you see here where it says you're free to use this song and monetize your video. That means you can make money using this, which is amazing. These are all free. You just have to have a YouTube account, which if you're going to be posting videos, it's probably a good idea to have. Facebook actually has a thing like this. I've not used it before, but I know it exists. So that might be one for you if you're using Facebook. But then you can just download that, save it somewhere, and I can just click on it and import selected. That's going to give you that music in your timeline. And what I think is the best practice is to put the music in first, and then start adding your media. So I've gone ahead, dragged all my footage in, played around with it, moved it around, and I'm going to show you basically how this all works. So let's have a look. At the start, I've got a bit of me talking to the camera. Really, really great to add this in. This is gonna bring your personality into the video, and it's so important to not just have videos that are just clips of like things that you see. You want to talk in them. You want the focus of the video to be what you're trying to say. This is your story that you're trying to put out there. Don't just have little clips of stuff. No one's that interested in looking at, a bit of B-roll is what they call it. Even some nice shots of some coffee, like people aren't interested in looking at that. What they want is they want your personality. So go ahead and add that in first. What I've done is I've actually got a file that's my logo, but you can go ahead, click back on that import, and if you've got a logo or a bit of graphics that you've made in maybe Photoshop, something like that, you can just go ahead and add that in as an image and drop that on top. So let's get rid of that one. You can just go ahead and add that in over your footage. When you drag an image in though, you're going to want to change change the crop. So I'm just going to put that as fit. And you'll notice when I've dragged it in, it's actually gone above the other footage, which means that it's going to sit above that footage. So you're still going to get the audio from the one below it, but you're going to see the picture from whatever's on top. You see that again just here. I'm actually talking, but not only have I got footage, some B-roll, he's got some text as well. So that's going to go on top of the B-roll as well. And text-wise, keep it as simple as possible, guys. No one wants to see these crazy fancy transition text things. They're just not necessary. So if you want to add some text in, go to titles and honestly just choose something standard. Avoid stuff like this, twinkling in and out. Maybe it suits what you're doing. If you know that it suits what you're doing, go for it. Just for the most part, it really doesn't. It doesn't suit anything. God knows why they've got so many of them. I tend to just use the really basic ones, something like this, where it just comes out and sort of fades away nicely. For this one, I've gone quick. So, at the start, I was saying about slowing your footage down. What you're going to do to do that is bring in your footage. Oh, and look what I've done. I've brought it in, but it's way too long. You can still trim stuff when it's in the timeline. Just go to the end, drag it back in, something like that. Then when you click on this, you can go to this little speed icon. Click that, and for these, I know that I've shot them so that I can just hit 50%. And that, it's just going to slow that down nicely. B-roll's really great for hiding jump cuts. So sometimes you'll have to cut out a bit of where, you know, maybe you're like, you want to cut that out. And look at that. It just jumps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the logo over that. Just going to hide it. Same with a little bit of B-roll. If you put it over the cut, like you see here, so that's hovering over this join between two videos, that's just going to hide that little crime. It's a really good little tip. So what I said before about adding the music in beforehand, it means you can kind of edit to the beat of the music. So you listen for when the music does something that changes, and you change when the music changes. That's another thing that's just going to up your production value slightly. See that? So when you're going out shooting this, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you've got enough footage. Like I've mentioned, B-roll. B-roll is key to like upping your production value just that little bit. So what I want to show here is that I'm leaving my studio. So I've shown the view from my studio, I've shown a little bit of town, and then I'm starting to show the restaurants and the cafes and things like that, just to build up to the fact that I'm going to go to this cafe, and then there's more B-roll within this cafe as well. So all establishing the look and the feel of the place, showing that I'm getting a cup of coffee, drinking it, I'm enjoying it. I've slowed a lot of this footage down, but then also shooting some time-lapse footage is really going to help you sell that idea of time passing. So I've sat in this this cafe for a while, but I'm not going to film myself the whole time. If I film a little bit of the cafe, people milling around, a little bit of outside, and then it cuts to my empty glass, you know that I've spent some time in there without really actually thinking about it. So next, you see that transition? So simple. When you're actually shooting your footage, if you come to the end of the bit you're shooting and just do that, and what you're going to do is you're going to leave that little bit in where the camera moves, and then when you come to film the next shot, you're going to do the opposite move. So if you've gone down, then you start up and come down again, and that is going to give you this little transition here. You're not going to find a transition. You're not going to be able to do that just by going to transitions. In fact, stay away from transitions. Them first four, if you really need to use them, you can. The rest of them, stay away from them. Don't use star wipe. Don't use any of the others. This little trick of just moving the camera about, that's the only transition you need. So another good tip, as I mentioned in the video, is to get it on a tripod. Get the camera on a tripod, that's going to steady it up and it's just going to take that shake out of there. And you see again, I've used a little bit of B-roll just to hide that cut. Then talking to the camera, it can be hard at first, but it's really worth getting used to that. It's going to help you in other things as well. The ability to speak clearly and in an engaging way is really going to help you out beyond just making videos. And another little trick I've done at the end here is, if you cover the camera as you finish, that's better than a fade to black. That's like a real life fade to black. And then you can just cut in something else after that. And you see at the end here, I've just gone for those simple titles, aiming this for YouTube, so thanks for watching and subscribe. The way to do titles I'll show you now is hit the titles little option up at the top. I'm just going to choose standard, drag that over where I want it to go. That's going to give me all these options. So you've got your options for font. So maybe I'm going to go for, I quite like a thin condensed. Thanks for watching. Then again, titles, font, please subscribe. And actually, I don't need this bit here, so I'm going to leave that blank. Click off that, and your titles are going to show up just like that. Built up this timeline. It's really simple. It's all just cut into each other, just laid next to each other. Each time I've done something, I've gone to my media. I've just grabbed the little handles, brought them in, and hit the plus button. And that adds it after everything else. So as you're going along, you just add those in. But, like I showed you the speed thing before, you've also got color options. So if we just reset that, it doesn't look as good as that. And that's just in this little color palette. You can change, just do it subtly, but if you drag these about, you just want to drag these about till you get the look that you're after. Something that's handy to know is this is the zoom for the whole timeline. So I tend to work with it really far out. And this down here will scrub you along it. So over the color correction, there's the color correction. That's just going to give you some auto things. Try for skin balance. Going to do some stuff. I don't like to use anything auto really, so I'm not going to use that. You've got the crop, which can be handy if you want to sort of zoom on something. So this is going to just zoom it in. It's more for images. So if you go on Ken Burns, choose your start, choose your end, that is going to just zoom out like that. So the start is the bigger one in this case, the end is a smaller one. I'm just going to put that back to fill. There's another thing you can do, which is sometimes really handy, but don't rely on it too much, is stabilization. And if you just click that, it's going to analyze the footage and it's going to try and make it look steadier. It doesn't always work. It tends to work best if there's not much movement. You can see how much it's cropped it, and it doesn't look great in this case. One of the tools you're going to find handy is the split tool. And basically the easiest way to do this is to hover your playhead over the clip that you want to split into, exactly where you want to split it into. So you look at the source monitor, see where you want to do it, and hit Command B. And that's going to split it into 2 different clips. And Command Z to undo it. If you do it in the wrong spot, you should know Command Z already. That's undo. So you've put together this timeline. You need to get it out so you can share it, and that's where this button up at the top comes in, share. You can share it directly to Facebook or YouTube. What I like to do though is share it as a file, title it, resolution, 1080, quality. I've gone for medium. You can go high and you can go best, but if you look down here, best is coming in at 4.2 gig. Whereas medium is 386 megabytes. So unless you know you need best, just stick with medium or high. Hit save, that's going to export that, and you'll see this little activity monitor, and that's going to show you how long is left to go. And that's about it.